Hi guys, it's Nikita Dragun and I'm here today with Global Glam. Like, yes bitch, hi, I'm here. I made it, I'm in New York. So originally from like middle of nowhere, Virginia, and then I moved out to LA.
So what made you decide to move to LA?
Actually, it was a lot of things. I mean, for me, I was like really from the get-go in Virginia. Like as soon as I hit the ground running, I just knew it wasn't the place for me. I was like way too big for it, way too colorful. I've always been the same. And I was always just really drawn to big cities. And I actually was really drawn to New York first. Like all of my dreams were set in New York. I was built up to be like a performer. So I was doing like musical theater and stage and acting and singing and everything. And I had my whole destiny set for New York. But I kind of had a shift for things when, you know, a little bit inside me was a little changed. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to kill my dreams off in New York and I'm going to fly off to LA. And I've never even been. So, but I ended up staying for like almost 3 years now. It's crazy. I honestly, the one thing I have noticed is the New York boys are so cute. It's weird. It's really crazy. And I feel like since it's so densely packed, like it's just like constantly like, I'm like, like I can't get a break. I love it.
And speaking of boys, what would make you say, bye boy, if he said or did this to you?
Oh, there's so many things I feel like get on my nerves. I feel like if some boy came up to me and like was too, there's a fine line between like confidence and like aggressive. You know, if some boy comes and hollers at you, it's sometimes in a way it can be kind of cute, but then sometimes it's like, don't holler at me. I'm like not a dog, girl.
Yeah.
Or if they come up and like touch you or something like, hey mama, it's like, no. You can touch me when I ask to be touched, but not now, honey. So I would say boy bye. I would say a lot more than boy bye, but we'll keep it with boy bye for now.
And girls can be a little bit on the shady side as well. So
oh, absolutely.
So what make you say, girl bye, or girl stop trying?
Yeah, I would say bitch bye to the boy and the girl, to be honest, but I would say girl bye to like, I'm such a big person on not girl hating. I feel like girl hating is so awful, and I really, even if a girl is trying it and you know going through really weird situations and being shady, I really try not to girl hate. And I feel like it's already hard enough for us out here. So like we're all sisters at the end of the day. So it's like why do you got to be shady? So I honestly feel more than anything like really disappointed. I'm like, girl, bye. Like don't try me because I'm not gonna hate on you.
And I love how you mentioned girl love. Actually, in the previous post you mentioned, let's stand up for our sisters and our sisters.
Yes.
So cis for CIS. So sometimes in the community for feminism, cisgendered women can have a little bit of hate for transgender women.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you know, I experienced it in a really weird way because when I started becoming more vocal about feminism and my thoughts and issues, when I started transitioning and becoming female, you know, you take on the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. And, you know, for 18 years of my life, I never had to deal with anything regarding sexism. And the second I did transition, I realized that there were so many issues that women have on a daily basis that now I had to face. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, how is it that 1 second I never had to face any of these issues, and then the next second, all of a sudden, now I have to face all these issues? So the second I started being way more vocal about it, I noticed like a kickback from some cisgender females about being like, well, you're fake, you don't have a period, and you're not a natural woman, and you're not real woman, like, you know, you're like not authentic or whatever. And I'm like, baby girl, like I'm more woman than some of you girls will ever be. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I feel really strongly that, you know, we are all one and the same in that way of we are fighting for the better, for more equality, and regardless if you are cisgender, non-binary, whatever, like if you identify as female and woman, like you are fighting for womanhood in general. So I'm still gonna remain in that fight, even if I'm versing some of my sisters, and I'm gonna fight for all of us sisters.
And that's amazing. I love how you brought up like femininity. Sometimes for transgender community, for transgender women specifically, there's extra pressure to be feminine or appear fish-like, so to speak.
Yes, I've noticed more and more that, especially now that I've been so open, and I feel like that's just been my main thing of like being so like an advocate towards transgender issues and female issues in general. I feel like people kind of have like a microscope on me and are very like, oh well, you know, your voice sounded lower here and you sounded like a man here, or you know, you have a freckle on this spot and I could tell you're a man, or your eyebrows are too thick, oh I could tell by this or that. And it's like a constant like scrutiny all the time. And I feel like in the earlier days I really did care because I wanted to give this hyper version of femininity. I didn't want anyone to know, and I was just like, oh my god, like I need to give you big boobs, big ass, like everything super super over the top and major. And I feel like over the years, I mean, it's only been a couple years now, but I've just gotten so fed up with, you know, the internet space and everything else, because I'm like, if I'm under the scrutiny or kind of thinking that I have to keep up this standard, then what is it saying to the younger generation, or like people who are watching me and thinking that they have to uphold something like this too? So, you know, I'm always taking off my wig. I'm showing my braids, or, you know, my days where I have like really bad pimples or whatever. And it's funny too, because like the definition of feminism and femininity is like so like lucrative and so like fluid with different people. You know, there are so many women out there who do have like 5 o'clock shadows like I do, you know. So who's to say it is only something that I had to go through? Or there's so many women who have strong jawlines or who have more masculine features. So I feel like, again, it's all like so, you know, it's like, girl, who cares at the end of the day? But I will say, the more I have been just open and less worrying about it, the better my life has been, because I just feel like I've been now so accepted and so accepted by myself for who I am. But also too, it's just about like not feeling that pressure from the outside kind of forces, which I feel like a lot of people kind of face on a daily basis all the time.
I mean, I think you look absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
And even as a cisgender woman, like, I am coming from a very kind of critical community. Russian women can be a little bit critical. So I've been told your voice is too low, your shoulders are too broad. I had a buzz cut a while back and like you look like a boy. So it's not just transgendered women. So
it's every woman. All of us are facing different things all the time, that we're not good enough, or that we're not feminine enough, we're not pretty, we're not giving off that feminine energy. If we're being a boss bitch, if we're standing up for ourselves, then it's too masculine. So I feel like for a really long time I was kind of hiding so many traits that I thought were masculine, but they were just traits about myself, you know? Like I love sticking up for myself, I love sticking up for other people, and I love doing business, and I love, you know, I was like, girl, at one point I had balls, so I might as well have them, and still, you know what I mean? In terms of like business and things. So I'm like, oh, people will always try it, so might as well just be yourself, you know?
Exactly. And you have a very flamboyant personality.
Yes, absolutely.
You're known for like the squeals, the shrieks, saying, yes, bitch.
Yes, bitch, always. I feel like I've always been that way. I've been very outspoken, and I've always kind of not fought for attention, but you know, I'm the youngest of 4 kids in a big household. So I kind of always had to kind of, you know, kind of like show off a little bit, you know. I think that's great. And I feel like for some people, a lot of people are just waiting for a moment to is this okay? Like, is this too much? Like, am I being too extra? But for me, like over the years, I feel like I've just been like just letting it all loose. I don't care if I'm like dancing in the street, like twirling around, or you know, if I'm putting on a show or something, and it's not really for anyone else. It's just for me, and it's how I live my life.
So you mentioned a few siblings, and your parents are actually here with you today.
Yes.
So can you talk about how your family reacted when you told them that you were coming out as transgender?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, it was really an easy transition. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try to make it some crazy story that it wasn't. I feel like for my parents coming from 2 different backgrounds, my mother being Mexican, my father being Vietnamese, refugee, Asian, and Mexican, you know, Spanish, like 2 different cultures. And in both cultures, primarily, it's, you know, not looked on upon just in terms of the LGBTQ community. It's not something that's like, oh my God, like it's totally welcomed. And actually was like the first person that was even like gay or anything at the time when I first kind of came out. And I think ultimately they just wanted to see me be really happy. And I think a parent will always love their child, but I think at the end of the day, it's mostly a concern of like safety. And, you know, growing up in Virginia, it's like a more conservative town, and it's like more tight-knit community. So it's like, what will people say? So I think with a lot of parents, and sometimes I have talked to like the youth, and they're like, how do I tell my parents? Like, I just don't understand. You know, sometimes it's really about a parent worrying and about a parent really wanting to take care of their child. And it is like that kind of the fear of the unknown. So I think it was something so new. And I think they just ultimately wanted me to be super safe about everything. Of course, with becoming transgender, there are a lot of, you know, different medicines and surgeries and things, and a lot of different things from this and that. You know, some people go to like freaking Colombia, or like to Guadalupe or Guatemala or whatever, something crazy or whatever, to go get all these different surgeries. And it's just a really, really crazy world. And I think what kind of opened them up to it more so was when I had gone off to LA. That's when I kind of decided. I kind of had a crazy year, to be honest. Like when I had denied my scholarship to NYU, and like decided I wasn't going to go to like New York and not go off and live that life as like a gay man, like on Broadway and stuff. I stayed home for a year, and it kind of was like a little bit more of like experimental. It was kind of like a cross-dresser, like sneaking out and going to the clubs in DC by myself, and like, you know, hanging out with like senators or senators' sons, or, you know, just like kind of like trying to figure out who I was. And I feel like because I never got that like experience, you know, as a woman, you kind of go through this stage of puberty and everything, and I never got to experience that. So I kind of was just experimenting and finding myself. And I think what really got to my parents and like really helped them out was the fact that I was so confident in who I was, and I also was helping a lot of other people. When I was starting to post my videos early on, you know, my I am transgender video or my surgery video or my first couple of like hormone videos or just like sharing my journey, I think by them reading the comments, or, you know, even people would reach out to them like on Facebook or stuff and like be like, oh, you know, well, my son or my daughter and this, that, and the other. So I think by them also seeing that I'm helping so many other people, it also kind of was like, okay, like we need to step us up as a family and support you. And, you know, that's been the case for all of my family.
Speaking of your family again, and you being from Virginia,
yes.
so where a lot of politics happen, you actually come from a military background. So how did your military background affect you in terms of insurance?
Yeah, so my mom is from the military as well, and my dad both in the Army. My mom is actually a doctor for like a military, very, very popular military hospital, and my father's in the Army still. So it's like, girl, we got lots of years Army work, and then my brother's in the Army. It's like, ugh, my whole family at this point, you know? So I feel like it was really, really hard because I was constantly calling the military insurance companies and like trying to schedule up doctors and stuff. And, you know, most kids my age don't even really go to the doctor for like checkups and things. Like it's kind of hard enough for, you know, a struggling college girl to kind of go to the doctor and stuff and get checkups. So I remember I was constantly calling, and there would be so many times where I'd be like transferred on the phone and transferred, and I'd wait hours and hours and hours on the phone, constantly calling, being transferred to this person or that person, because no one had the answers at the time because they didn't even know if I had coverage for anything. And I kind of just said like fuck it and just like went off on my own and just trying to figure it out for myself. And that's the reason why I was so kind of explicit in my journey and sharing everything, because I was like, I don't want anyone else to kind of go through the struggle of like trying to figure out the answers when I kind of already figured out something and I can just share online. Whereas I feel like a lot of other people in the past were kind of very secretive and like just kind of like glazing over the fact.
So what would you say, and you can look at the camera this time directly, what would you say to the big Cheeto in office who says that he doesn't want to support transgender soldiers and cover their insurance?
I would say, bitch, first of all, lay your wig down better and also get a foundation that matches your color. And beyond that, I would say accept love. Know that there are so many people out here in America that will support you because you are a president. So we will respect the political game, but at the same time, love will always win and has always won. That's it.
So actually, and may I talk about this with you? You only transitioned pretty recently. When did you transition, and how long would you say has it taken you? Everyone has a different transition.
Yes, absolutely.
How long has it taken you to go from being Nicholas to Nikita?
Woo, throwing my old name out there, girl. You're fine. So I would say it took me about, well, it's actually been like a 3-year process. So I started, I mean, even before that too, I mean, my whole life in retrospect was me transitioning. It's a period of me as a child, you know, having feelings and not even knowing my gender really, and kind of going through dysphoria in that way. But when it did pop back up again was, again, when I was in that transitional period of like trying to figure out who I was. So I started experimenting again, like maybe 4 or 5 even years ago, or even maybe even more than that, and kind of like slowly changing my image and becoming more feminine. And I would say like when hormones and everything started, that was again like probably like 2 years ago, like 3, I don't know. It's like so crazy even now to think about it. But it was in tandem when I moved when I moved to LA, when I started school, when I started this career on YouTube and everything, and I started transitioning. So it was like everything all in one, all in this past couple of years has been insane. And I feel like a lot of people at first were very like, you're doing this way too fast, you know, you're doing this like whatever. But a lot of the experiences I had weren't actually shared online of, you know, me experimenting or me, you know, going through a lot of different struggles that I had to go through. But I would say that everyone has their own journey. No one's journey is the absolute way to go, or, you know, everyone makes their own mistakes in life. But my journey for sure was definitely in dragon time. So it was a little bit more sped up, but I think I just really had a vision of who I wanted to be. And I I'm like such a goal achiever, and like I just like want things like now in the best way possible. So I just, when I do something, I do it like 150,000%. Like I'm not a half-asser. So I really just like went in for the kill for sure.
So we're going to just do a little bit of a clap back. So
yes.
I'm looking at some of your comments, and some people are like, who does this girl think she is? Mentioning being feminine and what it has to do with transgender experience, and them saying that you don't think being transgender can refer to still being in a male body or going through your process. Let's just do a little bit of a clap back. So let's be clear on what does transgender mean to you. Does it have to actually go through the process to be transgender?
Yeah.
So what is the definition of transgender? And let's just do a little bit of clap back.
Yeah, of course.
Don't know the difference.
Oh, girl. I mean, being transgender, I mean, it's just another thing. It's another label. It's like, what is being straight? What is being a woman? What is being a boy? It's like, girl, it's about being a human being. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it is a part of my journey and it's a part of me, but it's not all of me. And I feel like when people get it confused, I'm like, baby girl, like, we're all in this game together. We're no different from each other. And for those people so bothered at this point by me, it's like, I mean, they're going to keep watching, they're going to keep hating, and they're going to still be on my page, and the boys are going to still be my DMs, and the girls are still going to be my DMs. And, you know, it's just a never ending game, and I can't help but to wish them the best. But at the same time, I feel like even if they are hating, they're still watching, and they're still being educated about transgenders and, you know, me and my life and everything else. So I can't help but to love it.
Awesome. And let's just point out for the record, you just turned 21 only a few months ago. So you already got 2 million followers, you already got 1 million YouTube fans, you already went to your first beauty con just this weekend. What's more left to do for you? Some people are like, oh, she's already got it going on, but you obviously
honey, oh my, this is like barely, literally the start of what I'm doing. I feel like people want to assume that I'm on this fast track, that I'm kind of like this like flash in the pan, but I really have just this like dominance and this dragon nature to me, and I'm really just trying to take over the whole world and trying to get my little kingdom and like take over Westeros over here. I'm like Khaleesi. I have so many crazy things that are actually happening this summer that are just a little taste of what's soon to come. But I think if people think in the slightest bit they have me figured out, I think they're going to be very confused when the rest of this year starts rolling out.
So let's talk about a little bit of what you did this year. You had a collaboration with Bellamy.
Yes.
And if you can hold up the little palette right there, you also had a collaboration for the Nyx Mochi Collection.
Yes, I was the face of the Nyx Mochi Collection. So this was actually a great moment because Nyx was the first beauty brand that I ever got. I won't say it that highly, but you know, I might have skimmed up a couple lunch money dollars and bought my first lipstick from CVS. It was like a Transylvania liquid lippy when I was in high school, just to like experiment and have fun. So I think when they came to me about this opportunity to be in Ulta's internationally, to be the face of this campaign, to literally be in like 20-foot billboards all over Japan and all over every single place in the world, I feel like it's such an impactful moment because it's really not about me specifically being trans. It's about me being individualized, a person, and I felt like it was really an accomplishment for me as a person and as a creator and as an artist, and it was just a really great moment. It was kind of like full circle. And in terms of Bellamy, I think that was another full circle moment because when I first got to LA, I actually started by sneaking in. Ooh, calm down, I'm doing an interview, bitch. Sorry. But yeah, I started my journey with actually Bellamy. I snuck into a party. Kylie was like launching something, or I don't remember what was going on, but she was there, and I snuck into a party and I literally just like met every single person that I know today that are still my friends today. And I remember just being like, my face is gonna be on this wall, and it was like the first time they ever opened their store, and I was like, my face is gonna be on this wall, I'm gonna be up here and whatever. And fast forward to I think almost a year or 2 years later when I had my full range, their first ever wig collaboration, honey, the most successful collaboration they've ever had. And I think it was just a mind-blowing moment because I really had this crazy vision that no one really fully believed in, because like, girl, you're really gonna sell these really expensive wigs, but they're cheap. Honestly, they're very cheap for the price, just saying. Wigs, and it's just like something so different, and I feel like that's what I've always been about. I've always been kind of shaking up the industry. I've always been a very outspoken kind of wild card force, and I feel like I'm going to continue on to do that, and there's so many other projects I have in the works that will really get people going for sure.
Can you give us a little sneak peek about what's going up ahead?
Okay, yes, I have maybe a little something coming up on YouTube Red. So it's going to be a series that's coming up this summer. That's going to be major. I would say educate yourself. I would say get all the information possible and decide after you hear opposing views and views that are about you, and you have to get all the information before I feel like you can make even a decision for yourself. And I feel like that's the best way about going about things. And I feel like in terms of parents, it's about loving your child. It's about being open to everything. And I feel like the love for someone is something that doesn't have a label on it. And at the end of the day, we are all not labeled. You know, the only labels I have on me are designer at this point, and maybe sometimes thrift store or Forever 21. We don't judge, and I'm a college girl on a budget. So I feel like it's really about acceptance, and it's so cliche, but it really is about accepting someone for who they are. And I think once people kind of get out of that initial cast of like things and filters and all that other stuff, it's about what you really stand for and what are your morals, what do you embody as a person. And I feel like that's what it's all come down to.
All right, so we're down to our last two questions. Yeah. So you just mentioned college.
Yes.
And you recently got your degree.
I did.
So why was it important to you to get a college degree? Because a lot of younger teens are thinking, oh, I don't need to go to college.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I definitely was one of those people, not gonna lie, for a minute. I was very in the mindset of like, oh, I don't need a degree. I'm gonna be internet famous and I'm gonna have everything. But I feel like you never know. And the one thing that I did learn, you know, from my parents, and that was so instilled in me, and from my early ages, the one thing no one can ever take from you is your education. And that's just something that you'll always have. And I think a lot of people were kind of expecting me to kind of be this ditzy little dumb thing that with like colorful hair and a big old butt. But I really wanted to prove to people that I am educated and that I am smart. I'm more than just, you know, a little bit beauty here and there, a couple little freckles and things. I think it's so important for women in general to have education and to have that backing and to have that knowledge and to be smart about things. And so I am a businesswoman. I am a dragon. And I remember just strutting across that damn stage so proud and happy in my pink ass wig. And I remember all my professors were like, I was definitely not the one that people thought would make it through, but I definitely did. And I killed it in a lot of my classes. But it was a huge, huge moment for me. And I think out of all my accomplishments, that's for sure one of my absolute top accomplishments, getting through school.
So what degree did you get for your college degree?
So I've been so obsessed with business, and I actually got a business degree in beauty marketing and management. So it was two things that I absolutely love, business and that makeup side. I feel like beyond just being a makeup artist, I'm actually more of like a makeup enthusiast and a makeup advocate. So I really wanted to have that strong business side married with my passion.
And how did you come up with the name Nikita Dragun?
Oh my God, it's actually a crazy story. So I did not feel like the name Nicole worked for me. No shade, girl. Actually, it's funny, I still have till this day my fake ID that actually was Nicole. But I feel like I lived out my Nicole life. So I was like, oh, Nicole needs to go away for now. So for me, I was really obsessed with the show Nikita, which is the female assassin, but it was like the remake version when I was a little kid. I would remember looking at, I think it's Maggie Q, who's the actress, and it was on like the CW, and she was just the only female that I resonated with. She was such a badass, and she was just this really powerful Asian female, like kind of mixed a little. So I was like, she kind of represented something that I wanted to be. So I was like, Nikita, like kind of worked with my old name, you feel me? And I felt like that just really stuck with me, Nikita. And then the dragon actually came from a lot of things, born in the year of the dragon, and then also to like, a lot of people used to tease me, and when people are like, oh, you look like this animal, you look like this animal. Well, I was in a very white community, and I was like the only kind of like Asian looking kid. So a lot of people would be like, oh, you look like a dragon, you look like a dragon, or like, like would try to tease me and call me a dragon. And I kind of like took that thing that people were calling me in a bad way and made it a good thing and made it my name. And I just feel like my energy in general is just a dragon, just always breathing fire.
And this interview was fire. Thank you so
yes.
much for Nikita.
Thank you for having me.
With Global Glam magazine.
Thank you for having me. We're global, we're glam, bitch.
And this is just an example of what we represent. Worldwide beauty represented in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. Nikita Dragun is just one of the many beautiful faces out there that is also incredibly smart. Don't get it twisted.
Thank you so much.
Woo, that was
Thank you.